Chapter 5. I barely slept after Ethan admitted that fear kept people loyal. His words echoed through my mind until morning. When I walked downstairs, the house felt strangely quiet. "Maria?" I called. No answer. I searched the kitchen. Empty. The laundry room. Empty. Finally, I found Ethan reading the newspaper. "Where's Maria?" He turned the page without looking at me. "She left." "Left?" "She quit. She didn't even say goodbye." "People come and go." I stared at him. "That's all you're going to say?" "What else is there to say?" Something inside me screamed that he was lying. I hurried to the small room where Maria usually kept her things. The closet was open. Her clothes were gone. The bed had been stripped clean. It looked as if she had never existed. Ethan appeared behind me. "Looking for something?" I wanted to thank her. "You had your chance." His voice was calm, but I heard the warning beneath it. I forced myself to smile. I guess I did. That afternoon, I locked myself inside the bathroom and replayed the recording. "I don't want you visiting your family for a while." "They're my family." "I'm your family now." Every word was clear. It wasn't enough to prove a crime. But it proved I wasn't imagining any of this. I wrapped the recorder in a towel and hid it beneath the sink. A few hours later, someone knocked on the front door. Ethan answered. I recognized Noah's voice. "I need to talk to my sister." "She's sleeping." "No, she's not." My heart raced. "I know she's in there." I said she's resting. "Then let me hear her say that." Silence followed. I stepped toward the hallway. Ethan looked at me before I reached the door. His smile never moved. "Go upstairs," he said softly. I stood frozen. "Now." I slowly turned and climbed the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. From the window, I watched Noah leave with anger written across his face. "I'll come back," he shouted before driving away. Tears filled my eyes. He hadn't given up. Neither could I. For the first time since my wedding, I stopped thinking only about escaping. I started thinking about exposing Ethan. If I ran away without proof, he would find another victim. I couldn't let that happen. No matter how frightened I felt, I had to stay long enough to reveal the truth. The next morning, I waited until Ethan left for work before searching his office. My hands shook as I tried each drawer. Most were locked. One wasn't. Inside, I found thick folders filled with legal papers. I whispered, "Please let this be something." The first file carried Emily's name. I opened it carefully. Property transfers. Bank statements. Insurance forms. Every signature belonged to her. The final document gave Ethan control over everything she owned. My stomach turned. I searched another folder. A different woman's name appeared. Then another. Each file ended the same way. Their money became his. Their lives disappeared from the records. Footsteps echoed outside. I quickly shoved the papers back into place. The office door opened. Victor stood there. He looked surprised. I didn't know anyone was home. I was looking for Ethan. Victor closed the door behind him. "You seem nervous." "I'm fine." He studied me for a long moment. "You remind me of someone." "Emily." His face became still. "So Maria talked." I asked questions. "And now you know too much." My pulse raced. "What happened to Emily?" Victor sighed. "Some questions destroy the people who ask them. Did you help Ethan? I protected my family. You protected a monster. His eyes hardened. Be careful what you accuse people of. He walked past me and stopped at the door. Leave the past buried. After he left, I pulled the recorder from my pocket. Every word had been captured. For the first time, I had evidence against someone besides Ethan. That evening, Ethan returned home earlier than expected. You've been busy today, he said. What do you mean? I noticed someone entered my office. My heart skipped. I was cleaning. He smiled. You've never cleaned my office before. I wanted to help. He stepped closer. I appreciate honesty. I told you the truth. His eyes searched mine. Then he reached beneath the couch cushion. He lifted the small recorder into the air. Looking for this? My blood ran cold. He pressed the play button. His own voice filled the room. I don't want you visiting your family. He stopped the recording. The silence hurt more than shouting. I trusted you, he said quietly. You were never honest with me. I gave you everything. You took everything. For the first time, his smile disappeared completely. He crushed the recorder beneath his shoe. Then he looked straight into my eyes. Now we both know this marriage can end only one way. I felt fear rise inside me. But beneath that fear, something stronger was growing. I wasn't ready to surrender. Not anymore. Chapter 6. I stared at the broken recorder beneath Ethan's shoe. The silence between us felt heavier than any scream. He pointed toward the hallway. Come with me. I don't want to. You don't have a choice. I followed him because I knew resisting would only make things worse. He unlocked the door at the end of the west hallway. The same locked door. The one where I had heard crying. Go inside. I stepped into the dark room. The air smelled damp. A single light hung from the ceiling. Before I could turn around, the door slammed shut. The lock clicked. Ethan. I shouted. No answer. I pounded on the door. Let me out. His voice came through the wood. You'll stay there until you remember how to be a loyal wife. His footsteps faded away. I slid down the wall, fighting tears. Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. I couldn't tell. Then I heard a weak voice. Are you all right? I looked toward the corner. Someone slowly stepped into the light. Maria. She looked thinner than before. A bruise covered one side of her face. You thought I left, she whispered. I thought he. I know. I rushed to her. I've been so worried. She gave me a tired smile. I'm still alive. What did he do to you? He locked me here after he realized I helped you. Tears filled my eyes. I'm so sorry. Don't apologize. She squeezed my hand. You were worth helping. I looked around the room. Have you been here all this time? She nodded. He brings food. That's horrible. He wants people afraid. I lowered my voice. We have to escape. We will. She pointed toward a loose floorboard. I've been hiding something. Together we pulled it open. Inside rested a worn leather journal wrapped in cloth. What is this? I asked. It belonged to Emily. My hands trembled as I opened it. The first page read. If someone finds this, please don't let him win. My chest tightened. I turned another page. Emily had written about her wedding. About Ethan's kindness. About the slow change after the marriage. Every sentence felt like reading my own life. I lived her story, I whispered. Maria nodded sadly. But yours doesn't have to end the same way. For the first time in days, I felt hope. If Emily had left these words behind, maybe she had also left a way to stop Ethan forever. I turned another page of Emily's journal with shaking hands. There has to be something, I whispered. Maria leaned beside me. Keep reading. Emily's handwriting grew messy. He hides everything inside the office safe. If anyone escapes, take the papers before he destroys them. My heart pounded. The safe. Maria nodded. I never knew where he kept the key. I flipped another page. A small envelope fell onto the floor. Inside was a tiny silver key. Emily had written one sentence beneath it. He never checks inside this journal. I stared at the key. She planned for someone to find this. She never stopped fighting, Maria said. Before I could answer, loud voices echoed through the hallway. Someone banged on the front door. Ethan shouted, "You have no right to enter." Another voice answered. "We have a search warrant." I froze. Sarah. Maria smiled for the first time. And Noah. More voices filled the house. I heard Noah yell, "Where's my sister?" Ethan shouted back, "Leave my house." A crash shook the walls. Then footsteps rushed overhead. Ethan unlocked our door so quickly that it slammed against the wall. His face burned with anger. "You," he yelled. He grabbed my arm. I pulled away. "No." He reached for the journal. I held it against my chest. "You'll never have it." His eyes filled with panic. Not anger. Panic. He knew what the journal meant. He lunged toward me. Maria stepped between us. "Run," she cried. I ran into the hallway with the journal and the silver key. Smoke suddenly filled the air. I coughed. What happened? Ethan laughed behind me. If I lose everything, nobody gets the evidence. The smell of burning would spread through the house. He had started a fire. I heard Sarah shout from downstairs. "Get out now." "I'm upstairs." I screamed. Noah answered, "Keep talking. We're coming." I reached the office. The silver key fit the safe. My hands shook as I opened the heavy door. Inside were thick files, passports, cash, and signed documents. I grabbed everything I could carry. Ethan appeared at the end of the hallway. "Put those back." "No." He charged toward me. I ran through the smoke as flames climbed the walls. Behind me, Ethan kept shouting my name. Ahead of me, I heard Noah calling again. For the first time since my wedding day, I wasn't running away in fear. I was running toward freedom, carrying the truth that would finally destroy the monster I had married. Chapter 7. I stumbled down the smoke-filled hallway, holding the files against my chest. "Noah!" I screamed. "I'm here," he shouted. "Keep coming." The floor groaned beneath my feet. Heat burned my face. I reached the top of the stairs and saw Noah climbing toward me with Detective Sarah close behind him. "There you are!" Noah cried. He grabbed my hand. "I thought I'd never see you again." "I'm okay." Sarah looked at the files. "Are those the documents?" I nodded. "I found them in Ethan's safe." "Good. Don't let them go." A loud crash echoed behind us. Ethan appeared through the smoke. "Give those back," he yelled. "They don't belong to you anymore." I shouted. He rushed forward. Sarah stepped between us. "Stop right there." Ethan ignored her. Two officers grabbed him before he reached me. "Let me go," he screamed. "They're lying." Sarah looked him in the eyes. "You have the right to remain silent." He struggled, but the officers forced his hands behind his back. "No," he shouted. "She belongs to me." I flinched. "No," I said quietly. "I never did." They led him outside. Fresh air hit my face as I stepped onto the front lawn. I dropped to my knees, coughing. Noah wrapped his arms around me. "It's over." "I hope so." A stretcher rolled toward the house. Maria walked out with two paramedics. She looked exhausted, but she smiled when she saw me. "You made it," she whispered. "We both did." She squeezed my hand before the paramedics helped her into the ambulance. Sarah opened one of the folders. Her eyes widened. "These papers are enough to charge him." "What about Victor?" I asked. "He'll answer questions too." Almost as if she had called his name, another police car stopped at the gate. Victor stepped out with an officer beside him. He looked at me without speaking. "You knew everything," I said. He lowered his head. "I made terrible choices." "You protected him." "I protected my family." "You destroyed other families instead." He closed his eyes. For the first time since I had met him, he had no answer. As the officers placed him into the police car, I realized the lies that had trapped me for months were finally beginning to fall apart. I spent the next several hours at the police station, answering every question Sarah asked. "Take your time," she said gently. "I want to remember everything. You don't have to carry this alone anymore." I nodded and began telling her about the wedding, the locked room, Maria's warning, Emily's journal, and the fire. When I finished, Sarah closed her notebook. "You were brave." I was terrified. Being brave doesn't mean you weren't afraid. Those words stayed with me. Later, Noah handed me a cup of coffee. "You scared me," he admitted. "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize." He smiled through tired eyes. "You survived." "I almost didn't." "But you did." Lily rushed into the waiting room and hugged me so tightly that I could barely breathe. "I've been so worried," she whispered. "I know. I should have pushed harder when I saw those bruises." "You couldn't have known." "I should have." I held her hand. "What matters is that you're here now." She wiped away tears. "I'm not leaving again." The following morning, Sarah returned with new information. The evidence from the safe matches old financial records. "What does that mean?" "It proves Ethan stole property from several women." "And Victor?" "He helped hide the money." I closed my eyes. "So Emily finally gets justice." Sarah nodded. "Because you refused to stay silent." A week later, I was asked whether I wanted to see Ethan before his trial. Noah frowned. "You don't owe him anything." "I know." Lily squeezed my shoulder. "If seeing him helps you heal, I'll support you." I thought about the frightened woman I had been on my wedding day. She would have said yes because she still loved him. I wasn't that woman anymore. "I'll see him," I said quietly. "But not for him." Sarah looked at me. "Then who?" I took a slow breath. "For me." That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I wasn't afraid of Ethan anymore. I was afraid of carrying the past forever. If I faced him one last time, maybe I could finally leave those memories behind. As I closed my eyes, I made myself one promise. I would never again mistake control for love. And I would never allow anyone to steal my voice, my freedom, or my future. Chapter 8. The day I visited Ethan in prison, my hands shook just as they had on my wedding day. The difference was simple. Back then, I had walked toward a future I believed in. Now, I walked toward the past I was ready to leave behind. A guard opened the visiting room door. "He's waiting." I nodded. "Thank you." Ethan sat behind the glass wearing a gray prison uniform. He looked older. Tired. Smaller. When he saw me, he picked up the phone. "So you came." I did. I lifted the other phone. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Ethan sighed. "I never thought it would end like this." I did. He looked surprised. "You did?" "The day you locked me in that room." He lowered his eyes. "I made mistakes." "Mistakes?" "I lost my temper." "You destroyed lives." "I didn't mean for things to go so far." I stared at him. "For months you told me everything was my fault." I was angry. "You were cruel." Silence filled the room. Then he whispered, "I'm sorry." I searched his face. I wanted to hear guilt. Instead, I saw fear. Fear of prison. Fear of losing everything. Not sorrow for Emily. Not sorrow for Maria. Not sorrow for me. "You don't regret hurting us," I said quietly. "You regret getting caught." His mouth opened, but no words came out. "I loved you," I continued. "I know." "No." I shook my head. "You loved controlling me." "That's not the same thing." "I did love you. If you loved me, you would have wanted me to be free." He looked away. "I can't change the past." "No." I stood. "You can't." He pressed his hand against the glass. "Can you forgive me?" I took a deep breath. "I don't hate you anymore." Hope appeared in his eyes. "But forgiveness doesn't erase responsibility." His shoulders fell. "I'll live with what I did." "Yes." "You won't visit again?" I slowly shook my head. "This is goodbye." The guard opened the door behind me. As I stepped into the hallway, I felt something lift from my heart. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't carrying Ethan's shadow. I was carrying my own strength. And that felt lighter than anything I had ever known. I walked out of the prison without looking back. The sun felt warm on my face. For the first time in months, I took a deep breath without fear. Noah waited beside the car. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Lighter." He smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." When we arrived home, Lily and Maria were waiting for us. Maria hugged me first. "I've started looking for a new place," she said. "I'm happy for you. It's time to live instead of hiding." Lily laughed softly. "And I'm opening a support group." "You are?" "I want people like us to know they aren't alone." I smiled. "That's a beautiful idea." A few days later, Sarah called. "I have news." "What happened?" "Ethan pleaded guilty to several charges." "And Victor?" "He did too." I closed my eyes. "So it's finally over." "Yes." After ending the call, I drove to the quiet cemetery where Emily had been buried after investigators finally identified her remains. I carried fresh white flowers. Standing before her grave, I whispered, "I'm sorry we never met." The wind moved gently through the trees. "I found your journal." Tears filled my eyes. "You saved my life." I placed the flowers beside her headstone. "I promise your story will never be forgotten." As I turned away, I realized I wasn't leaving her behind. I was carrying her courage with me. Weeks passed. I found a new apartment. I returned to work. I laughed without pretending. Some nights, the nightmares returned. When they did, I reminded myself that they were only memories. They no longer controlled me. One evening, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. "I know you," I whispered. For months, I had seen only fear. Now I saw someone stronger. Someone who had survived. Someone who had chosen hope instead of hate. I smiled. Not because everything had been easy, but because I had refused to let my pain decide my future. People often believe monsters look frightening from the beginning. I know the truth. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they promise forever. Sometimes they wear a wedding ring. But I also know something else. Even the darkest prison cannot hold someone who chooses courage over fear. I lost the life I thought I wanted. I found the life I truly deserved. And as I stepped forward, I finally understood that my greatest victory was never watching a monster fall. It was learning that I never had to live in his shadow again.